Batumi, a seaside city on the Black Sea in Georgia. Warm, humid, filled with palms and frequent rain. Glass towers stand beside old courtyards, and new buildings rise almost on the shore itself. In summer, the city hums with tourists and the port. In winter, the sea breathes mist and salt. Sometimes it feels like you can hear it under the floor tiles. There's a story going around Batumi about a new building by the sea, built only a few years ago. Apartments there sell quickly, but almost every family moves out within a year or two. The neighbors prefer not to talk about it. I still regret ever saying a word to her. That night I was coming home late. The stairwell was quiet, too quiet for a new building. I entered the elevator. Empty. I pressed my floor. And then came that familiar feeling, as if someone was standing behind me. I looked in the mirror. In the corner stood a figure, a woman in a long robe, facing the wall. Her hair was wet, as though she had just stepped out into the rain, though outside it was dry. I blinked, and she was gone. But the air turned icy. My breath came out in mist. The next day, one of the neighbors caught me downstairs. Her voice trembled.
If you see her, don't talk to her. Don't even think about it.
I laughed it off. But a week later, I met her again, inside the elevator. I noticed her bare feet, dirt and rusty stains on her soles, as if she'd been walking through a flooded basement. We rode in silence. I couldn't stand it and asked, "Excuse me, which floor?" The elevator jerked. Numbers flickered, 9, 14, 32. But our building didn't even have that many floors. Metal trembled. The lights flickered. The woman began to turn her head, and I heard the sound, like dry branches snapping. Couldn't see her face clearly. It blurred, like a photograph soaked by rain. The doors opened. A concrete hallway stretched before me. The air smelled of damp and burnt wires. Wet footprints led forward, and from the black window openings came the sound of the sea. Deep, hollow, as if from underground. She stepped out, her hair moving though there was no wind. Then she whispered, close to my ear,
"Have you seen him?"
Her breath was cold, and I realized we weren't alone in the elevator. In the mirror behind her, another shadow appeared, a man's. He was staring straight at me from the depths of the reflection. I hit the buttons, the doors slammed shut, and the lift descended. When they opened again, it was my floor. But on the doormat outside, my apartment was a single wet footprint. In the morning, the concierge spoke to me by the mailboxes.
This house was built on wet ground. There's always water below. They cut corners during construction. At night, an electrician and a worker were testing the cables and the emergency brake. The car went up. One of them slipped on a wet beam and fell. The brake didn't catch. There was a short circuit, smoke everywhere. They never found his body. His wife came every evening, called the elevator, and listened into the shaft. Then she disappeared too. Only her wet slippers were found. Since then, a woman sometimes rides the lift. If you see her, don't talk. Don't answer. Not yes, not no.
He nodded toward the ceiling and added,
Stories like to be heard.
After that, she found her way into my apartment. Mirrors fogged from cold air. The washing machine gurgled like a receding tide. On the glass of the front door, tiny salt crystals appeared by morning. At night, someone barefoot climbed the stairs and stopped at my door, breathing long and wet, like after swimming. Sometimes the elevator panel lit up on its own, and for a second, a man's silhouette appeared in the black glass, facing the wall. She whispered near my ear.
"Have you seen him?"
I stopped answering, but she didn't like silence. More often, the elevator doors opened by themselves, right at my floor. Behind them, that same damp corridor. One day I remembered the concierge's words.
Stories like to be heard.
And I understood. She doesn't attach to the building, but to the answer. To the one who hears her question and responds. There's only one way to escape her, if someone else answers instead. That day, I brought a pie to the new neighbor across the hall. She had just moved in, smiling, arranging cups on the shelves. There's a funny local legend, I said, about a woman in the elevator. People get scared, but really, you'll see, it's nothing. I told the story as simply as the concierge once had. No warnings. And I couldn't resist. I spoke her words aloud, slowly, the way she does. Have you seen him? That evening, we went down together. The elevator gleamed like a new aquarium. A thin stream of water ran across the floor. The woman stood by the wall, head tilted, listening. My neighbor flinched and, to break the tension, said politely,
Yes, I've seen him.
The numbers trembled. The doors opened. It wasn't our floor. A low, dark corridor stretched into the distance, and far away, something glowed faintly white, like underwater. I held my neighbor's arm, and then I let go. She had just enough time to look at me, surprised, hurt, as if I'd pushed her jokingly. But the step had already happened. The doors closed like eyelids. The elevator left empty. The next day, her door was sealed. No one saw her leave. That night, I heard barefoot steps going down the stairs. But no one stopped at my door. On her linoleum, near the threshold, there was a thin half-moon mark of a wet hand, visible only in slanting morning light. After that, I slept again. The elevator stopped arriving by itself. Mirrors were just mirrors. Sometimes, if I press my forehead to the shaft door, I can hear the salty rumble below, like the sea slowly drinking and breathing out. Then I whisper, barely audibly, I don't answer anymore. But stories like to be heard, and someday someone will want to be polite in that tight elevator. So, if tonight you feel a chill and see a woman in a robe, remember the only rule, don't answer. Even if she speaks first, even if she asks,
Have you seen him?
because if you do, she'll come for you.